Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sincerely, we seem to be groping in the dark in Nigeria. We seem to be walking around in circles rather than moving forward because we seem not to understand the importance of research and development and the proper and sustainable planning towards economic development. I don't know how to explain this. Nigeria is one country that takes right buses to be a great country. One country that can easily achieve GDP of $1 trillion within the next 5 to 8 years. And for us to do that, we must grow our GDP by average of 15%, 15 to 20% per annum, not at the current 3.1%. I wonder how people who are growing the economy at 3.1%, which is even growing slower than population growth and other indicators, want to achieve $1 trillion GDP in 5 years at this level. My man will say this is not Okonama Jagaba. Anyway, we don't plan, we don't research, we don't even. Okay, I'll give you an example now. Two issues. Today, we don't even know what we produce in terms of crude oil. We don't even know the volume of crude oil that we produce. We don't even know the volume of yams we produce. We don't even know the real quantity of rice we produce. We practically know nothing about what we produce and about even the volume that we consume. I'll give you an example. The palm oil. As of 1965, Nigeria controlled 45% of the global palm oil market. Palm oil supply. Nigeria, as of 1965, controlled 45% of the whole global palm oil supply chain volume. Today, that market is controlled 85% between Indonesia and Malaysia, and that market is $82 billion size. If Nigeria had maintained her growth trajectory or her growth rate of 45%, by now we would have been producing and exporting nothing less than $36.9 billion worth of the crude palm oil. Today, we consume 2.4 million tons of palm oil estimated, and we produce only about 1,050,000 tons. Last year alone, it was estimated that we imported over $600 million worth of palm oil from Malaysia, from Benin Republic, even from Cote d'Ivoire. And common sense is very common. To cover the supply gap. Remember, the Indonesians and Malaysia came to West Africa, some even say cross river, in around 1876 to pick the seedlings in the wild. Nigeria is the only place in the whole wide world where the palm tree and the date palm grows in the wild. In fact, the date palm fruits twice in the world in the northern part of Nigeria. So, and to be able to cover this domestic supply gap, all we need to do is to produce additional 1.6 million tons of the palm oil. And to produce 1.6 million tons, we will have to plant 80 to 120 million new general palm trees, which will require about 500,000 to 700,000 new hectares, and then setting up 1,718 cottage factories across the palm belts in Nigeria. And we will achieve our target. If we set out to do it today, in the next 5-7 years, we will surpass this target. And I know that the southeast of Nigeria happens to be one of the palm belts. And I remembered in 2019. And I also know that the 19 states in Nigeria can easily produce 2 million to 5 million tons of date fruits every year if they decide to pursue it, cultivating 50,000 hectares per state, across the northern belt. And I know it's something that they can easily achieve. A ton of the dates is going for about $8,800 to $2,500. And a hectare can give you about 10 tons of date fruits. It will interest you to know that in 2006, Saudi Arabia embarked on an audacious program to create oases of wealth, started planting the date plantation From 2016 now, they've been able to do debt value chain of almost $2.5 billion. Fact check me. And Saudi Arabia is so wealthy that they can afford not to even plant debt. Egypt is number one. So I know in 2019, I was privileged to speak at the PDP Governors Forum. And I spoke to the northern governors on the need for them to pursue the date palm plantation development. One of the reasons is to help them check desert encroachment, to create oases of wealth that can actually generate almost about $100 billion annually in the north every year, which is bigger than what they can get from the crude oil in 8 years. I also spoke to the governors of the southeast and south-south and southwest with much focus on my state, Imo State. Imo State has 305 electoral ward. And I remember I chaired a group known as the Southeast Farms and Agricultural Processing Company Limited. And I remember even taking programs on air, on radio stations to hammer on this. I mentioned it to the governors, the governor of my state and those on the Southeast. And I told them, I said, Michael Okpara built up the economy of the old Eastern region between 1959 to 1966, pursuing major agro-based industrial revolution. Michael created 214-kilometer agro-industrial belt that gave him more revenue than any other region in Nigeria. Go and fact check me. And I mentioned to them, I said, if for example now, we have 1,246 electoral wards in the southeast, and most of them are in the rural areas. You know, this idea of buying palm trees, 1 million palm trees, and dashing to poor village farmers who do not even have knowledge of how to nurse this and how to grow it the way it is done in other places will not help matters. I mentioned to them that what I'm advocating is not something that have not been done elsewhere. Even in Italy, they developed their tomato value chain using the Copado model, cooperative model. And I said, in the southeast, we have very small land mass, 2.8 million hectares. And most lands in the southeast are communally owned. It's not like the north where you can see somebody owning 10,000 hectares. For you to see one person that owns 500 hectares, that is very difficult, it's very impossible. So I advocated, since we own lands communally, I advocated what I classified as the missions community diaspora private public partnership arrangement, where the communities will bring out their land, about 100, 200 hectares, those who are not in the urban areas, and they work with local government. Local government will provide them with security, provide them with industrial borehole. It's not free of charge. They will value it. Set up an SPV in every ward. In my own ward, it will be ward. We have 4 communities that can comfortably donate to 200 to 300 hectares. So what we basically do is that we will set up, if we want to do cashew, if we want to do cocoa, if we want to do palm, the better biological asset is one of the easiest ways you can grow wealth. It's done everywhere in the whole world. In South Africa, they are doing the macadamia. South Africa and Kenya makes billions of dollars every year, hundreds of millions of dollars every year doing the macadamia. Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana, they raise hundreds of millions of dollars every year doing the plantain and banana. Fact check me. Ghana generates so much doing cocoa. We used to control cocoa in the old Western region. I even told the Western region governors how they can also pursue cocoa that can get about $19 billion every year. Let me not digress. The palm is my focus. And the idea was, we are the private sector developers. We started raising massive nurseries. We got seedlings, input seedlings from Wilma, Malaysia, which is one of the Fortune 500 companies. Wilma, Malaysia has over 200,000 hectares of palm plantation in different locations. Wilma generates almost $50 to $73 billion annually from the palm value chain. So the arrangement was very simple. These communities will provide their land. We will bring equipment, work with them to clear that land. We will second agronomists that will train them. They will donate 100 of their sons, 200 of their people. We will set up a cooperative for them. We will work with them to clear the land. We will bring an agronomist that will train them. We will supply them with the Tenera super gene species of the palm plantation. They will plant it. We will teach them how to intercrop it with other potato or with the yam or other vegetables that we can give them short-term income of 90 days, 120 days, and all the rest of it. We will also co-locate cottage factories within 2 or 3 wards that will process whatever they will produce. We did the numbers. If we do this within the next 4, 5, 7 years, we're talking about 2019. If we had done it in that 2019, by now, we'll have been generating nothing less than 1.32 trillion naira revenue based on this value chain from the southeast. I'm not kidding you. A hectare of the palm plantation by the 6th, 7th year gives you about $7 million, 7 million naira, just selling the fresh fruit bunch. The fresh fruit bunch process will give you palm oil, palm kernel shells, palm kernel cake, and other derivatives. If you're doing cashew, if you're doing cocoa, same thing. National Assembly has passed a law which made it compulsory that you must not sell any agro product that is not 30% processed. So what is difficult about this is I've shared. But it requires concentrated government support. Insecurity has been the bane. You plant your cassava, you plant your palm trees, herdsmen will attack it and they will eat up your plants. So most people are not willing. But if you have such cluster locations where you have 100 hectares, 200 hectares, you have borehole, you have at least 100 agro rangers securing it. The community puts themselves in cooperative form. There is economy of scale. There is shared knowledge. There are shared facilities. So this is the location where they are going to develop. We'll farm it out. One person manage 1 hectare. Firstly, we are going to be creating, in the southeast alone, we'll be creating over 500,000 direct jobs. 500,000 agripreneurs that can make millions every year in terms of gross revenue. We'll be having hundreds of, there are going to be other ancillary companies and business that will come out of it. We don't have the technology to fly to the moon. We don't even have technology to even do the basic thing. But we have to import the tractors to bring the processing plants. We can easily bring them in to catalyze productivity. But it requires government support, government participation, not in the very criminal ways they do it. We bring in tractors. The average 75 horsepower, 120 horsepower, 50 horsepower tractor that we can import into Nigeria for 15, 25, 30 million. They will tell you they're importing it for 60 million. They will over-invoice it to enable them cream out. So they will never want transparent mission, community, diaspora, private, public partner arrangements that will engender transparency and productivity. They will tell you they are dashing 1 million palm trees to villagers. That by the next 5 years, look at the one in Imo State. There was a time Rogers did a Kuala. He gave 1 million naira to 305 people, youth millionaires. He gave out 100,000 to almost how many people in the at the polling booth level. And at the end of the day, they shared millions of palm trees to them. Go to Imo State. There is no place where you will see palm plantation as big as Presco or Okomo. The only thing you see is other palm that was built over 40, 50 years ago. But this arrangement we have shared will create over 19,000 hectares of palm plantations in Imo State alone to 30,000 hectares. Presco, with just about 11 to 15,000 hectares of bearer biological asset palm plantation, generates almost about $200 billion naira every year. Close your eyes and imagine the kind of revenues we will generate from Imo State, from each of the wards. There's no ward in the southeast that cannot generate at least 2 to 5 billion naira. They will need to be very scientific. We need to, talk of yam. We don't even, to produce enough yam that will feed the indigenous of the southeast based on the yam per capita of 84 kg. We take about planting 369 million tubers, producing 369 million tubers of yam, 10 kg each. And it will require about 14 to 18,000 hectares of land to do scientific agric. Today, we don't even have a record of how many hectares we are farming for the year 2025. Yet we want to tackle food insecurity. We want to do domestic food self-sufficiency. There is no rigor, there is no research, there is no development. There is no even produce board under a private arrangement that can help us to ensure that encourage farmers to go to the farm, just like we had it in the early 60s. We have retrogressed 100 years back because we have a bunch of rudderless, clueless, insensitive human beings who parade themselves as political leaders. There's no way if we have right-thinking people in the corridors of power, that Nigeria that cannot produce over $350 billion worth of agri export every year. Netherlands, 1.5 million hectares of arable land mass, 18 million people, less than 200,000 of them in the agri sector. They export 122 billion euro worth of agro exports every year. Nigeria can, not even Niger State can do times 3 that. The southeast, where I come from, has bigger land, arable land mass than Netherlands. But you know the problem we have? We do not have in a majority political leaders across the 3 tiers and arms of government who are willing to roll up their sleeves, bend their knees, and do the right thing, and seek for good counsels and help. Anything that is transparent, that is accountable, they won't do it. Anything that will add value. So let me tell you, all this issue of insecurity and all those stuff, close your eyes and imagine where in every electoral ward you have 200 youths who are making millions every year. You have 50 to 100 agro rangers fully trained and fully armed, protecting the agro clusters. Tell me from where the insecurity warrior is head. Then you ban open grazing, set up ranches, the same arrangement. God have mercy on us. We won't give up. Thank you. For those of you who are serious, for those missions, for those churches, for those diasporans who wants to do it in their villages, for the governments who will repent, I believe God one day they will repent. You can reach out to us. 090909000989. WhatsApp 090909000989. Mobile 0813-444-1140. We will help you to draw up the framework and the structure. We will help you to generate the funding to execute this. We will help you to set up the processing factory. We will take everything you produce. If you want to do your commodity board, we will help you set up under a private-public partnership. We will create so much value and wealth and jobs in this land. We will bury insecurity. We will build up a prosperous nation. Nigeria have no business housing the population of the most impoverished human beings on planet Earth. Nigeria has no reason having 3.5 million people in IDP camps. Nigeria has no business having 330,000 people in refugee camps in Chad and Niger. Nigeria has no business being linked with 400,000 kids who are about to starve to death, according to UNICEF record. The only problem we have that we have been plagued by the worst form of human plague, called political leaders. All repentant human beings who have devoted their lives serving Satan, just stealing, clean and destroying. God have mercy on us. God have mercy on us. God, please, have mercy on us.